Mind communicating with your inner self. When I need an answer from my inner self, at times I want it immediately. I know it will show up in physical reality sooner or later once I ask for it, but sometimes sooner is better than later. So I've designed a technique for consciously getting a response quickly, and once again it involves my whiteboard. In the beginning days of developing my ability to listen for my inner self's words, I'd go into a rather deep altered state of consciousness. Eventually, I gravitated to using a light altered state, and now I'll either use that state or simply quiet my mind while wide awake. I'll ask my question when I feel very still and then picture my whiteboard. I make an effort to keep my mind clear of extraneous thoughts and emotion. To facilitate this, I see a fine mist being pushed from the center of the whiteboard in all directions, as though blown by a hose of air, leaving its surface sparkling clear. I'll do this several times while I'm asking my question, and then I'll stop all action and wait for a response. Soon my answer will start to form on the whiteboard. It will be hazy at first, but then develop form rather quickly. It's not like it's magic marker crisp, but usually it will have some substance, albeit nebulous at times. The sense of the word or words also comes through most of the time. That is, I hear my mind echoing the words as quiet, faraway thoughts, while the image of the answer is still on the board. If you're new to using an approach such as this to talk to your inner self, I'd suggest you start with questions that require a yes/no answer. After a while, you'll progress to requesting longer responses, but in the beginning, it seems easier to start more simply. Actually, I seldom see answers in the form of long sentences on the board. I'm pretty good at yes/no responses to my questions, but I tend to hear the longer answers, seemingly coming from the lower right side of my mind as quite faraway thoughts. There's a downside to this approach of direct communication. It's rather easy for our mind to color what we're hearing based on different factors: the strength of our belief in the subject at hand, our emotions at the moment, our desire for a specific outcome, etc. For instance, one time I asked for the percentage of a probability that a certain event would occur. I got 95%. At first I was ecstatic, but then grew uneasy about the answer. It sounded almost too pat, too confident based on the situation. Stan and I had been playing with probabilities and verifying their outcomes for a while, and something didn't jibe. The committee later confirmed that I had indeed colored the answer. It was actually 76%. The most natural mode of communication and the clearest in terms of undistorted information comes through intuition, impulse, and insight. We don't have time to color the responses because we are not expecting them, and so do not set the stage to interfere with the answer. It's true, we may not receive as precise an answer as 76%, but we will get a good sense of where we stand on the issue. But I feel by exercising the inner senses through consciously requesting answers actually helps us develop our ability to hear and sense other forms of communication. And in spite of the potential distortions, I still get right on responses much of the time. I finally decided that if I get 95% but question its validity, I just assume it to be correct and see what happens. Gee, what a concept. Upside time exercise, meeting your inner self. There are other ways of directly communicating with our inner self. In fact, there are as many variations as there are people. One tool many use is meditation, or an altered state of consciousness. Seth calls it psychological time or psi time, and it's one of the inner senses. Psi time is a bridge from the outer world to the inner world, And according to Seth, by using it, we cut down the amount of time it takes to manifest whatever we desire because we're extremely focused on our goal, with no extraneous activity to break our concentration. Therefore, our inner self hears our request loud and clear. So what we're going to do now is a Psy-Time exercise. The purpose of which is to put us in conscious contact with our inner self. It's designed to remove our focus from the day-to-day environment by going inward, and so assist us to more quickly manifest whatever it is we desire, from answers to material objects. Your task is to decide what it is you want to accomplish during this time and prepare yourself to present it to your inner self. I used to do this specific exercise a lot, and I believe it helped set the stage for the emergence of the committee on the Ouija board. Not that any preparation was necessary under certain conditions, but what the exercise did was to eventually change my belief into one that said direct communication was indeed possible. For the first of the altered state exercises offered in this book, the lead-in of relaxation and wrap-up of the return to normal consciousness will be included. They won't be repeated with the rest of the exercises to relieve redundancy. In fact, the other exercises will be presented in a more formal text style than what's written below. You may want to put this meditation on audio for convenience sake. According to Seth, we may have to repeat this type of exercise several to many times in order to achieve our goal, depending on what the goal is and how soon we'll allow it to manifest. What you request may or may not show up in your reality immediately. Sometimes you might get the information as a thought or impression right away, but at times it may not come to you for several days. Just know it will show up sooner or later, though. Sure, that newspaper article you happen to read that answers the question posed to your inner self is a coincidence. Surely the word to a song long forgotten that springs to mind and happens to hold the solution you requested in Psy-Time is a coincidence. Yeah, and your dream 2 nights after meditation, the one that outlined the direction you sought, was a coincidence too. Well, here's to many wonderful coincidences. I'll record the meditation in a separate audio that you will find after this one.